And welcome. You're listening to Heart of Mind, Radio for the New Millennium. I'm Kathryn Davis, and this program is a source for health consciousness, spirituality, soul communication, and self-liberation. On today's program, we're going to be speaking about the Planet Heart World Peace Earth Day celebration taking place this month, Sunday, April 21st. My guests today are Patricia Anne Davis, an Indigenous Native American elder whose ceremonial name is Dineh, one who has no enemies or peacemaker. Mitchell J. Rabin, international speaker, holistic coach, and host-producer of A Better World TV, and Rick Ulfick, founder of We the World and We the World campaign, which can be found at we.net. And he works towards promoting campaigns that unite and amplify the efforts of changemakers working for peace, justice, sustainability, and transformation. So I am very much looking to enjoy today's conversation because this event, I think, is even more amazing than some of the events in the past. It's a full panel of speakers, and the keynote speaker is also very special. So I'm going to invite Mitchell perhaps to start with the conversation. I know the keynote speaker is Fabian Cousteau, and so he is, I believe, the son of Jacques Cousteau. Grandson, wow. Mm-hmm. Aquanaut, oceanographic explorer, environmental advocate, and founder of the Fabian Cousteau Ocean Learning Center, and the grandson of the late Jacques Cousteau. So that's pretty special. But also, including my guests, there's a full lineup of speakers. So, Mitchell, maybe you can talk a bit about Earth Day, and then maybe, Rick, you can come in and give some of the historical perspective, because you've been participating in sponsoring this event since the beginning. So, Mitchell, why don't you give us a little roundup of what people can expect?
Sure, Kathryn. First of all, good to hear your voice and everyone else's here. This is really a fun and celebratory event, and Earth really deserves this. After the assaults that we have levied upon her for so long at this point, this is a chance, Kathryn, for us all to take heart and go into a deeper space in our relationship with Gaia, sometimes called Pachamama, and really show our appreciation for being alive and being one of her children. And that's how I see what this event is really about. And I've been asked by Andrew Kane, the producer, to host it and MC it a few times over the years, over these past 12 years, as well as I've, moderated panels and all that here as well. And I'm always honored to do this because it feels good. It's a great group of people. Friends like Rick Ulfick and others are major contributors to making it happen. And as you were saying, this particular one, they're all good. I will always say that because it's true. And we always have a really good time. But this one with Fabienne Cousteau, who I just had on Better World Radio this past week, and what a celebration that was. And it was both searing and looking at the tragedy that we have caused as a species to other species underwater, and what we've done to the coral reefs and the fish population of all sizes throughout all of the waters of the planet, and also what's being done about it, which was very heartening to hear about the amazing strides being made to restore the coral reefs and deal even with the overfishing that's been taking place. So very exciting. And just to come back for a moment here to our day itself, as you said, April 21st is the Sunday from about 3 o'clock to 7:30 at 4 West 43rd Street in Midtown Manhattan. So if anybody's anywhere, I say, within 100, 200 miles, you should really make a point of coming because it's such a wonderful celebration. I'll be kind of kicking it off, followed by my good friend Rick, and then we are going to have someone who is basically a tree whisperer who will be speaking with us about a deep relationship to the plant world. There will be actually Susanna Basarica is helping to start it with a ritual and procession. Queen Mother, oftentimes also called the Mayor of Harlem, Mayor Blakely, will be speaking. So we have, it goes on and on. We can get into some more of the details soon. But a wonderful group called In the Light Band, good friends of mine, Dr. Rona Allen and her group of, Emmy Award-winning jazz musicians will be playing some bossa nova and bringing some of the energy of the Southern Hemisphere forward. Barbara Marks Hubbard, another dear friend and colleague, will be speaking in the later afternoon, which is a real gift to us all. And so it goes. I don't want to go through all of it, but I want to hear the others. But I give you now, that's a quick rundown of some of the speakers, including, needless to say, Kathryn Davis as well. So I'm so glad you're part of the lineup, Kathy.
Thank you very much. Rick, I remember, 21 years ago, being at this event, and you were there as well. So, I might have my number off a bit, but I know this has been taking place for quite a long time. 12 years.
12, yeah.
In Earth years, it's 21, but it's 12. So, but you've been a part of it from the beginning. So maybe you can speak to your commitment and support for this. And as we go on, we'll speak a lot more about the work that you're doing in your field.
Right. So, yes, Andrew Kane initiated the launch of the World Peace Earth Day celebration 12 years ago. So this is the 12th anniversary. And Andrew has been part of We the World, my organization, at we.net. And so he was inspired by what we had done with 11 Days of Global Unity, which we launched actually 15 years ago. And, we can talk more about that later. But he wanted, since 11 Days of Global Unity happened in September, 6 months away from that, around the time of Earth Day, he thought maybe it would be good to have a celebration that honored Mother Earth and the environment, as well as in terms of working for peace. And the way I look at it, we talk in our communities about peace on Earth, and this event makes the connection. So we're also talking about peace with Earth. So it's peace on Earth and peace with Earth. With the environmental focus. So yes, we've been doing it for 12 years, and it's been very exciting. And Mitchell mentioned a lot of the people that will be speaking and performing. It's a great combination of inspiring talk as well as music and sound, healings and meditations and art. It's really like a mini festival in a sense.
Yes.
Excellent.
It's a good
and
way to
also, and especially joining us is Patricia Anne Davis, an Indigenous Native American elder whose ceremonial name is Dineh, or Dineh. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She's, in addition to doing this work, she's also a diagnostician and practitioner by tribal lineage training and initiation. And she translated the Dineh Blessings Way ceremonial principles into an affirmative healing process to facilitate wellness and restoration. And she designs presentations, training, ceremony, and workshops within the context of the natural order and indigenous science, a concept from the literature to define a distinction between an affirmative thinking system and a Eurocentric dualistic thinking system. And she designed a contemporary cognitive ceremonial change process. And she has traveled to many countries as an international teacher and healer. And Patricia, I visited your website, nativeamericanconcepts.wordpress.com. I really enjoyed your video there on choosing the path of wholeness. And I'm very delighted to know that you're going to be participating in this Earth Day event, which I think is really close to all of our hearts here on this call. So thank you so much also for joining me on today's program. And I'm wondering if you could offer a blessing for the earth, for the people, as well as give us your sense of the importance of this Planet Heart Annual World Peace Earth Day celebration. Thank you and for joining us.
Thank you, and I'm pleased and I'm honored to speak from the Indigenous lens, because the celebration of Mother Earth is a celebration of holiness, and oneness. It is customary for me to introduce myself in the Dineh language, and Dineh translates to people, and Dineh translates to holy people, which is inclusive. Patricia Anne Davis in Shia, a Mississippi band of Choctaw in Shla. Choctaw Dineh Edashache. Chochin Bashochin Adokia Ani Edashanala. Begin Dineh Biyaja in Shla. Doni Hikle. This is an affirmation of our oneness. And in my late father's language, in Nebazad, the holy people's language, there is no way to say, but not you. And so it is very appropriate that I am invited on this conversation, as well as to be present at the celebration. I have been traveling to 9 countries to teach and to do healing regarding our stewardship of the 4 elements, earth, water, fire, and air. And short way to say in the affirmative is appreciation, acknowledgement, and gratitude for this oneness, for cooperation, collaboration, for unity. And I will say that in the Dineh language. Nahasan Hima, that is our Holy Mother Earth. Jonah A, the sun. Yadishis. Hashjel Kit, Hashjel Howan. Ahya, Shajet, Shatlat Dian, Dian the Ne, Biaja and Shna, Doni Hitler. Ahya, Shik A, Shadane. Hojo, Nahasli, Hojo, Nahasli, Hojo, Nahasli, Hojo, Nahasli. And basically, this affirmation is from the thinking system that is conscience and whole brain thinking, the creative imagination to design the co-creative solutions for our collective survival. And that's what I'm hearing everyone say in this dialogue today. I'm very grateful to be participating. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I think that you bring a level of deep understanding to this process, because if not for the indigenous peoples of this land, I think that America would be completely lost, because you have held on to the soul, the spirit, and the vibration, not just of what it truly means to be human, but also this interconnectiveness to the planetary system. So I think that there's one way of thinking about this in an intellectual way, which many, many people do, but not everyone is understanding the living presence of the earth and nature and the elements and how this all comes together into our life, the vitality of our life force. And our society has really lost that connection to true life and essence of being. And so I'm grateful that you and many people across the land have been able to really carry this forward from ancient times. So I offer my gratitude to you. So maybe you can speak a little bit more about your work and how people can connect to this process of healing and connecting and becoming an active participant on a daily basis. We're going to be celebrated this month at Planet Heart Annual World Peace Earth Day celebration. Again, it's on the 21st of April. It's a Sunday, 4 West 43rd Street in Manhattan, near Fifth Avenue. And what I'd like for you to do, if you could, is to tell people how they can walk with this peace and with this consciousness, if you would.
We might begin by saying that people over time historically have forgotten that stewardship of the earth, water, fire, and air is also stewardship of one's own body. Physical is the earth, and 70% water, and then temperature is fire and air. The Holy Creator's breath that we're moving around and making a sound. So those are 4 elements that we are our constitution. And so we are also simultaneously living in the environmental earth, water, fire, and air. So indigenous people have taken care of, stewarded the earth, water, fire, and air. It has taken care of us, and we take care of it, and it's taking care of us. So in that forgetting, then there's only 2 intention, that is to destroy or to create and build. And in the Navajo language, what we call Hocho is win, lose, and nobody wins, and destructive and death-producing choices. And that is the path that occurred due to this forgetting. Then there is Hojo, and Hojo, the ceremony for this remembering and reawakening of win-win. How do we all win for our collective survival, and also constructive and life-affirming choice. So my work in speaking and writing and teaching is based from a translation from the esoteric language, ceremonial language, which is inclusive of all cultures. This is very, very simple in terms of life is yes and no. That's what I tell you. And the consequence of that, of the two thinking systems. And so we cannot reform anything morally, ethically wrong. So a ceremonial change process, an indigenous ceremonial change process, is a way to reframe our thinking. That means to restore our thinking, holy thinking, whole brain thinking, using conscience. And then we know what to say yes and no to. So that's how I see that this is called a point of, we could say, intervention. That means that a small change and the planetary change is basically built into every person to say yes and no appropriately. And that's all it takes. There's nothing complicated or confusing about it. And translating it into English, it's a decision-making. So let me just briefly articulate 4 out-of-balance conditions and then give you the 4 steps to correct them. One is the denial of oneness, and then that denial of oneness. Then there is also the upon European contact, brought the idea of male-dominant, female submission, which created animosity and aggression within a person and then between male and female. And then there's also the deficient self-image. So in indigenous languages, because it's in the affirmative thinking system, there is no concept, there's no context, container, or concept of a deficient self-image. There's no way that I can say less than, and there's an outside remediation process to some end state like enlightenment or salvation or redemption, because it is existing within us already. And then the last one is dualistic thinking, for and against, right and wrong, good and bad. That is perpetual polarizing people into adversary conflict and warfare. So the indigenous ceremonial change process that I designed and translated and simplified into English, it makes sense. It's very practical for everyday use, using our whole brain thinking, which is name the out-of-balance condition. And then emptying, which is the correction, and then the reframe from the out of balance to rebalancing and the practical solution. As an example, I could say that war, over a decade of war, we are right, we are righteous is the acronym. We could say that's an addiction to greed. The root cause is an addiction to greed. So the second phase would be each person then rebalancing themselves to self-sufficiency. What is enough? Because there is a attitude and behavior of never enough and never satisfied, and that's where the consumer is. The parasite system is killing the host. So then the reframe is then the collective knowing what to say yes and no to, and that leads us then to designing co-creative solutions. Co-creative means with creation and the oneness and with each other, and then we can design specifically each step of the way. And so this is not religion, it's not theory, and it is not philosophy. The natural order is from conscience. Reality is exact in indigenous wisdom and knowledge and language, and then there is group consensus, and then we have spiritual morality. I could say a lot more, and basically I've articulated using the art of making distinction two thinking systems for change, and that all healing and change begin from the inside. And we're projecting, in our out-of-balance condition, we're projecting enemy creation. And so that's one of the areas that we have to realize that there is no enemy, and affirm this oneness, and motivate people, inspire and motivate, and ask them to put that into action. It's just basically yes and no, and what is the consequence? And I hope I was able to simplify and get that across.
Yes, definitely so. Very powerful. And hopefully it's inspiring for people to really understand that there's a real wisdom in the world that we can learn from. So thank you for sharing that with us, and I hope to speak to you many more times about this. Again, we are talking about the Earth Day event, Planet Heart Annual World Peace Earth Day Celebration, and our guests on this call will all be at that event, including myself, Sunday, April 21st of this year from 3 till 8 p.m., 4 West 43rd Street in New York, near 5th Avenue. There is a door cost. You can save a little bit by getting your tickets in advance, and you can do that by visiting planetheart.org. You can contact Earth Day at wetheworld.org or call 212-222-5432, 212-222-5432. And I believe the event will be streamed as well. I know that, I believe the streaming is at where, Rick? We.net?
Yeah, well, there are few places which will probably have the streaming. I don't think it's been finalized yet exactly how it's going to take place, but certainly if people go to planetheart.org a few minutes before the event, they can see the links right there, and we will post that also at we.net.
Excellent. So I also, Rick, if you could chime in, because I know a lot of the work that you've done, your passionate commitment to We the World is not dissimilar from what Patricia just shared in terms of talking about interdependence and working on certain issues. So I'd like for people to know a little bit more about what you do, and maybe add what you'll be sharing at the event.
Okay, that sounds great, and thank you so much, Patricia, for everything that you said. I really resonated with it. I think it was really wonderful how you kind of framed everything. I noticed that you were talking about our collective survival, and that's one of the reasons why I started We the World to begin with 21 years ago, as Kathryn was kind of alluding to. I started in 1998 with a bunch of other folks who joined the board and that kind of thing. But one of the things that motivated me to start it was that I had attended a lecture given by Jane Goodall, and she and the opening speaker were talking about the mass extinction of species. The opening speaker was the son of the paleontologist Louis Leakey, who had discovered a fossil of one of the earliest human fossils, which he named Lucy. And his son, Richard Leakey, had just written a book about the sixth mass extinction of species. The last one, the fifth one, was when a meteor crashed into the Earth 65 million years ago, and that was the demise of the dinosaurs. But the sixth mass extinction, we're on the edge of it right now, and it's actually human-caused. And Richard Leakey, in his book, predicted that if we don't drastically change our consumer habits and other kinds of pollution of the environment and climate change and all of that, that the mass extinction of species would become irreversible within 20 to 30 years. And now we're at the 25-year mark, and it seems to be coinciding with what we have heard from the International Panel on Climate Change, which is that they were saying that by 2030, if we don't cut down our emissions and CO2 emissions in particular, that climate change itself will become irreversible if we don't do something very quickly by 2030. So I actually have stopped calling it climate change and usually call it climate disruption. So what we're doing at We the World is, I guess our mission is to maximize social change globally until we have a world that works for all. And so we really do things like we create programs, platforms, and campaigns that unite and amplify the efforts of people, organizations, and movements working for the common good and the promotion of peace, justice, sustainability, and transformation. So we actually have 11 campaigns that grew out of the 11 Days of Global Unity. And I'll tell you what those campaigns are, and people can get involved with their organizations or individually at we.net. So the 11 campaigns are unity, interdependence, environment, economic justice, health, children and youth, women, human rights, freedom, disarmament, and peace. And people can go to we.net and actually sign up to become a We Campaign coordinator, join the We team, or they can sign up their organization to participate in one or more of these campaigns. So the whole event that we're doing for the World Peace Earth Day celebration is in alignment with and really part of this work that we're doing with We the World at we.net. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Mitchell J. Rabin, I know that you have been broadcasting since 1993, but you've also been working as a speaker, life coach, teacher, entrepreneur, stress management consultant. You have a background in psychology, acupuncture, and business, and have been the founder and director of a stress reduction center in New York called the Center for Creative Well-Being. And you've also co-founded several green companies dealing with energy efficiency, air, water pollution, and sick building syndrome. And you're also on the board of directors of many organizations that work towards change. So maybe I would love to have you tell people about your work and your commitment in this regard. And I always see you, one, as being someone who is like a communicator and connecting and bringing voices forward that can make a difference. But also you have the part of your work in which you can help people transform at that interpersonal level where they're trying to deal with the conflicts within as well. So maybe you could share your perspective.
Sure, Kathy. I so appreciate this. And the words of Patricia, who I also had a guest on A Better World Radio recently, whose, work and words are so beautiful and deep and powerful. I so appreciate it. And let me just say another word also about Rick, who I've known since the mid-'90s when we were working on the Season for Nonviolence events at the United Nations. And Rick and I have been linked like brothers since then in many different ways. And, we share so much of a similar vision here. And yes, Kathryn, I have been working actually rather tirelessly to improve relations between people. As you said, I do a lot with conflict resolution and mediation and counseling and coaching in my work with people that I've been doing, well, should I really date myself, since 1979, when I really began kind of formally in my professional life doing counseling, psychotherapy, holistic psychotherapy, because I was also deeply involved with the ancient Chinese Taoist tradition. And as I know you are so deeply, and we've had you on A Better World talking about Qigong as well and Taoist meditation. And so my work with people was always very influenced by my holistic systems thinking when it comes to individuals, always in context of their environment, in context of their family, and really the earth herself. So in a sense, I've been doing a form of deep ecology, deep psychology as kind of one system. That's been the approach I've had for so long. And so, yes, on a micro level, I continue to work with individuals, with couples, and with families, resolving the issues that show up so we can bridge that gap that was created. Patricia, you articulated that very interestingly about the idea of male dominance and oftentimes white male dominance, not only, however. And that has led to such a series downstream of issues between people. And a lot of it really does come back to the relationship of man and woman, not exclusively, but largely. And so I work assiduously at helping people have communication skills, the skills of respect and courtesy, even courtesy, just practicing as something that I always talk about, which is His Holiness the Dalai Lama's words, which are, if you do nothing else in this life, be kind. Just be kind. And if we look at the word kind coming to us from the Germanic tradition, we have the word kin, from which we get kindred, as in kindred spirit, but we also have kinda, which is child. So, and we talk, needless to say, about next of kin and our kin, which is our group, our family, our tribe. So this is the level on which I help people start to relate to each other much more deeply than a lot of the more superficial kind of communications that go on these days, as we're so inundated by electronic devices and selling of one thing or another to everybody, and not to mention the whole space of fake news that is dominating our airwaves these days. So I go these deeper cuts, if you will, these deeper levels with people, help to resolve on those levels, and using energetic balancing, as you know, a kind of a quantum biofeedback system to help balance energy fields. So I'm always using Rupert Sheldrake's popularized idea of morphogenetic fields, and the ideas underneath that I feel are very important, working with intention fields and the like to help people shift their own self and consciousness and that of the group, the family, the couple, what have you. Well, I also do that for businesses, and I work with the CEOs of several, usually startup companies, usually in the green or health and wellness spaces. And actually, I have a huge amount of fun doing this, helping people understand how to look at field phenomena, you could call it, in the space of companies. So there can be greater harmony and unity among the players. And yesterday I spent the day in Midtown at a conference called ESG, and that stands for Environment, Social, and Governance. And I'm watching things that, people on this call have been talking about probably for at least 30 years, but it's just kind of catching on in the business world where profit dominates, but they're recognizing the vital importance, thankfully, of caring for the environment and caring for each other and increasing diversity on boards and in the C-suite, and improve management and changing the culture, if you will, in businesses to be way more eco-sensitive, eco-friendly, and person-sensitive according to gender and race and all of these kinds of considerations. So there's that level that I participate on and play on, if you will. And another that is of kind of very deep importance to me is to deal with the issues themselves of global warming. I recently interviewed Dar Jamal, for instance, the author of The End of Ice. Rick, you used the phrase climate disruption, which I don't know if he originated that, but he certainly talks about that instead of climate change. And honestly, I feel like I've gone another step by calling it climate catastrophe. And we really, need so much. I feel riveted on the subject of reducing the ice melt, reducing the glacial melt, shifting things. And one of the great things that has come out of our even Western mind is technology. And I'll be going down, for instance, to Atlanta in a week or two to see a demonstration of a technology that produces utterly pure water as well as a megawatt level of electricity as a standalone system. It just, it uses hydrogen and any number of other elements to bring this about. And so I'm very deeply involved in helping to clean up air through filtration systems on vehicles. I'm very involved in the spreading, it sounds funny, of a lawn seed that sequesters carbon massively and requires almost no water to grow. And you'd be interested to know, Patricia, some of these seeds are ancient and have been used in indigenous cultures over the course of really thousands of years, but have been currently blended with others so they have these kind of wonderful eco-friendly effects. And this is the kind of work I'm very involved in through A Better World, behind the scenes, so to speak, in implementing these things across our country and across the world. And I work with a gentleman named Jerome Ringo, who was asked by President Obama to be his green czar when he first got into office in January of 2009. And I work with him in a company called Zoetic Global, where we are bringing these kinds of technologies, mainly to start with, to Africa, where there isn't electricity and there isn't clean water, and people are walking far distances just for water, of course, mainly women. And we have remedies to all of this. We have solutions, and we're working diligently at bringing these solutions to thousands of villages in Africa. So that gives you a little bit of a taste of the kind of work that I'm doing.
And your website is abetterworld.tv
.tv and mitchellrabin.com, exactly,
okay.
For the healing
And
work.
I want to remind people, in order to really dig down into the details of this Earth Day celebration, you could go to planetheart.org, I believe it is, and yes, planetheart.org. You could also go to we.net to catch up with information. I just want to remind everyone that we are talking about this beautiful Earth Day celebration, Sunday, April 21st. I am definitely looking forward to being there participating and presenting along with so many wonderful people. And as we hear in this conversation, we can guess at the depth of this celebration event sharing, and it's an opportunity for people to make those connections, to make their contribution to this work, but also to bring that energy and love to the celebration as we together celebrate Earth and contribute to this transformative process. And the energy behind an event such as this is very powerful, and it's a gathering in unity to honor Mother Earth. There'll be inspirational talks with spiritual, interfaith, indigenous, and environmental leaders. You'll experience live music performances, vibrational sound activations, guided meditations, qigong, plus a tribute to Grandmother Lydia de Castro, who is now transitioned to be with the ancestors, but she was also a supporter of this event and of healing for many, many years. There are going to be exhibitors with healthy food and drinks, and celebrations and prayers for world peace, planet Earth, and all inhabitants. And there's interactive participation throughout the day, so there's going to be movement and ceremonies and prayers and all of, I don't know what, I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. It's from 3 p.m. till 8 p.m. If you get your tickets early, you'll save a bit, but it's not too much at the door, really. And it's 4 West 43rd Street Social Hall, close to 5th Avenue, and that's over in the area of the UN. And you can call 212-222-5432, 212-222-5432, or you go to the website planetheart.org. And
it's actually just west of 5th Avenue, Kathy.
West of 5th Avenue,
yeah,
okay.
Just west.
And so you can also go to the website at prn.fm, look for the archive page of Heart of Mind Radio for this program, and I have some of the links there, and you'll be able to make those connections. So we're actually reaching the end of this particular broadcast, so I would like to invite each of you to share some final thoughts, maybe tell a little of what you're going to be presenting at the Earth Day celebration on the 21st. And I would like to welcome you back, Patricia, to say what you might like to say in closing.
Celebrating our planet and healing our heart is planting seed ideas. And so it has always been my priority, my own personal priority, to not recruit the next generation of youth to participate in their own demise in what I call inverse thinking system, where people are trapped and entrenched on this planet. And Albert Einstein said you cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that caused the problem. So I appreciate the willingness to hear the indigenous voice. And thus wellness restoration is a choice for each and every one of us, because it is a life-affirming decision and a reminder that indigenous ceremonial change process is inclusive, it is cross-cultural, it is intergenerational, and it translates to any language. And thus my focus will be on the practical how-to for the co-creative solutions. I call it love is the elegant solution.
That's beautiful.
Yes, that was beautiful. Thank you. And you as well work with people in communities, and they can find out more by going to your website, nativeamericanconcepts.wordpress.com. If you have any other information you'd like to share, that would be fine as well.
You can Google my name, Patricia Anne Davis, Choctaw Navajo, and you will see all of the places that you could learn from an indigenous ceremonial change process that's been translated and simplified specifically for the general population, because this is a time of crisis in which this knowledge must help people to awaken and to remember their own, that we are all indigenous to Mother Earth and these four elements of earth, water, fire, and air.
Okay, thank you. And Rick?
Yes. So I wanted to put this in context a little bit. The event on April 21st that we're talking about, the World Peace Earth Day celebration, is actually going to be a culminating event for something that We the World has started a few years ago called Earth Month. Earth Month goes from the equinox through the celebrated Earth Day on April 22nd. And the reason that we did that is because it turns out that the original Earth Day was on the equinox, the turn of the seasons. It was actually proposed that be the Earth Day in 1970 when the group of people launched Earth Day. And the person who suggested that is named John McConnell. He's not with us anymore, but he had joined the advisory board of We the World. But he proposed that the change of the seasons right at that moment of the equinox be Earth Day. And there are thousands of people and organizations that celebrate that as the original Earth Day every year. So we proposed at We the World that we do Earth Month, and it has become a kind of a convergence of many different events and celebrations and everything, including the event that we're talking about on April 21st. And so you can get more information about Earth Month and all the different groups that are involved with that by going to we.net. Right on the homepage on the right side, you can see that. And we also, on our Facebook page, which is it's the We Campaign Facebook page. So it's facebook.com/the We Campaign. There are many different videos there, and there's even a show that we have started recently called the Welcome to We Show, which is an online broadcast. And Kathryn, you have been on that show as well recently for the International Women's Day. But there are a lot of Earth Month shows specifically that we're doing on the Welcome to We show. So I wanted to mention that as a context. And everything can be found at we.net. Thank you.
Excellent. Mitchell? Mitchell, any final thoughts? We have about a minute.
Yes, sure. I'm very pleased and honored again to be the host and MC of this event. There's a lot of sadness in our world, a lot of anxiety for lots of different reasons, many, many good reasons, actually. It's a healthy response to kind of a world out of balance. And this is a day that we come together and we celebrate the fact that we're alive, we're still alive, and we're thriving as best we can under and through the difficult circumstances. And I'd love to just invite all to join us in what is a really heartfelt, fun, musical event. So, also very thought-provoking as well. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. And, of course, Mitchell will be the MC and host of the event, the 12th Planet Heart Annual World Peace Earth Day celebration, celebrating our planet, healing our heart. And it's presented in association with We the World, Vigil for Peace and Ecology, and World Yoga Community, and IMOV. And, of course, IMOV is a beautiful composer, singer, and we will be closing the show with one of her pieces of music, and I invite you to really enjoy that music. It's called $1 Million Baby by Christine Marie Gentile, a.k.a. I'm Of. So we'll be closing with that, and I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining me today. You've been listening to Heart of Mind Radio for the New Millennium. I'm Kathryn Davis. Check out more at heartofmindradio.com. Stay tuned.
To grow, and this music thing, I need to take it. So call me $1 million baby, because it's all around me. I can't help, I get them dancing. So dance and be free. Times I feel like I'm $1 billion baby. I did this all on my own. I feel like I'm $1 billion baby. I did this all on my own. Clap your hands if you feel it. Don't be afraid, be yourself. All the haters who doubt it can go party somewhere else. Give me a sec, let me check my crew. They checking me, check you. We party all night long, party till the break of dawn. If you're with me, sing my song. $1 billion baby, $1 billion baby, $1 billion baby, $1 billion baby. Times I feel like I'm $1 billion baby. I did this all on my own. I feel like I'm $1 billion baby. I did this all